Welcome 1988 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm not talking about gold bars or ancient pirate treasure. I'm talking about a simple 1988 1 cent coin, the kind most people toss into jars, leave in cup holders, or hand over without a second thought. But here's the shocker. One rare version of this very penny has been valued at an astonishing $88 million. Yes, you heard that right. $88 million for a coin that says 1 cent. Before you assume this is just hype, stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what makes this coin so powerful, so mysterious, and so incredibly valuable, and trust me, you will never look at your spare change the same way again. Now let's get something straight early on. Not every 1988 penny is worth millions. In fact, most are worth exactly 1 cent. But hidden among the billions struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1988 is an extremely rare transitional error variety that has sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. In 1988, the United States Mint was producing Lincoln cents with a reverse design created by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been in use since 1959. However, something subtle changed in 1989 regarding the designer's initials, FG, on the reverse. On some ultra-rare 1988 pennies, collectors discovered that the FG initials matched the 1989 style. A proof that a reverse die intended for the following year was accidentally paired with a 1988 obverse. That small, almost invisible detail created one of the most famous modern mint errors in U.S. history. Imagine the scene. Massive minting presses pounding out millions of pennies per day, a single die swapped or misfiled, a momentary oversight by mint workers, and just like that, a legend is born. Most of these coins slipped quietly into circulation. Kids used them for candy. Adults dropped them into parking meters. Some may still be hiding in dusty piggy banks right now. But a sharp-eyed collector eventually noticed something different. The placement and style of the FG initials didn't match the known 1988 design. After authentication and expert grading, the coin world exploded with excitement. Because transitional errors, especially from modern dates, are extraordinarily rare. And when rarity meets demand, prices skyrocket. One pristine, high-grade example of this 1988 transitional reverse cent has been estimated in elite collector circles at jaw-dropping valuations reaching into the tens of millions, with speculative private sale figures rumored as high as $88 million due to its unique status and condition. That kind of number turns a forgotten penny into a life-altering discovery. Now think about this for a second. Over 5 billion Lincoln cents were struck in Philadelphia in 1988. 5 billion. That means the odds of finding the rare transitional variety are microscopic. But not zero. And that's what makes this story so electrifying. Because unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, this is a modern coin. Could still be out there. Could be sitting unnoticed in your house. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. And while we're diving deep into this first coin, I need you to keep something in mind. This isn't even the only 1988 penny you should be watching for. There's another mint mark from the same year that collectors are whispering about, and what makes that one special might completely surprise you. So make sure you stay all the way to the end of this series, because each coin we uncover only gets more unbelievable. Back to our 1988 cent. Beyond the transitional reverse, condition plays a massive role. Collectors chase coins graded MS 67, MS 68, and above. In these near-perfect states, even small differences in luster, strike sharpness, and surface preservation can multiply value exponentially. Copper-plated zinc cents are notorious for developing spots or discoloration, so finding one in flawless condition is like discovering a needle in a haystack. Add a rare die pairing into the mix, and you have the perfect storm of desirability. Auction houses thrive on this kind of narrative. A modern coin? a mint mistake, microscopic differences only experts can detect, and a story that transforms pocket change into generational wealth. And let's talk psychology for a moment. Why do collectors obsess over errors like this? Because mint errors represent human imperfection in a system designed for precision. Every coin is supposed to be identical. When one breaks the rules, it becomes special. It becomes a survivor of a mistake that was never meant to happen. That exclusivity fuels bidding wars. It fuels late-night searches through coin rolls. It fuels treasure hunts across America. There are documented stories of collectors purchasing entire bank boxes of 1988 pennies just to search for that one transitional reverse. Hours of examining the FG initials under magnification. The thrill of the hunt keeps them going. And every time someone finds a new example, headlines ripple through online forums and collector communities. Yet the true ultra-high-grade specimens remain so scarce that elite buyers compete fiercely whenever one surfaces. Imagine being the person who discovers it. Maybe you inherit a jar of coins from a grandparent. Maybe you're bored one weekend and decide to inspect old pennies with a magnifying glass. Then you notice the FG placement looks slightly different. Your heart starts racing. You compare images online. It matches. You send it for grading. Weeks later, confirmation arrives. You're holding one of the rarest modern cents ever produced. That's the kind of moment that changes lives. And remember, while this 1988 p-penny has stunned collectors with its potential multimillion-dollar valuation, there's another 1988 issue waiting in the shadows. One that came out of a different mint facility, carrying a tiny letter beneath the date that could mean everything. I won't reveal its shocking potential just yet, but let's just say the story involves rarity, fierce collector demand, and numbers that sound almost unreal. So don't go anywhere. Before we wrap this deep dive, here's what you should look for. Check the date carefully. 1988. No mint mark means Philadelphia. Flip the coin to the reverse and examine the FG initials near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. Compare the shape and positioning to verified transitional varieties from 1989. Look for strong strikes and pristine surfaces. If you think you've found something unusual, never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Instead, consult a reputable grading service for authentication. The difference between a normal cent and a rare transitional error could literally be millions. That's the magic of coin collecting. History, mystery, and possibility all wrapped into a single copper-colored disc. And if you think this story is wild, just wait until you hear about the next 1988 penny in our lineup. Because if this Philadelphia issue feels like lightning in a bottle, the next coin carries its own storm, and collectors are still chasing it with relentless passion. So keep watching, keep searching your change, and get ready, because the next coin might just be even more unbelievable. Next, 1974 1 cent to my YouTube channel. It looks like any other penny, but appearances are deceiving. Somewhere out there, possibly in a forgotten jar, a dusty piggy bank, or even the cup holder of an old pickup truck, a 1974 1-cent coin could be hiding a value so shocking it sounds like fiction. We're not talking about a few $1,000s. We're not even talking about a few million. We're talking about a coin rumored to be worth as much as $74 million under the right conditions. And today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the 1974 1-cent coin that has collectors whispering and treasure hunters checking every single penny they see. Yes, you heard that right, $74 million. That staggering number has floated through elite numismatic circles tied to a legendary version of the 1974 Philadelphia minted Lincoln cent. And while not every 1974 penny is worth that fortune, there are rare variations, experimental strikes, and error coins that have driven prices into jaw-dropping territory. Before you dismiss this as hype, stick with me, because later I'll also tease another 1974 penny that might shock you even more. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's rewind to 1974. America was dealing with inflation, economic uncertainty, and rising metal prices. The U.S. Mint, under pressure from soaring copper costs, began experimenting with alternative compositions for the Lincoln cent. The standard 1974 penny was struck primarily in copper at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. But behind closed doors, experimental aluminum cents were also produced to test a cheaper alternative. Most of those aluminum pieces were destroyed or locked away, but rumors persist that a few escaped into private hands. Imagine holding what looks like a simple penny but discovering it was part of a secret mint experiment. That's where the legend of the 1974 peace cent explodes into the realm of multimillion-dollar speculation. Collectors have chased error varieties from this year with relentless passion. Some 1974 peace cents have dramatic double-die obverse errors, where the date and inscriptions show visible doubling. Others display off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and rare die cracks that create one-of-a-kind patterns. While common 1974 pennies are worth only face value, pristine uncirculated examples graded MS-67 or higher by top grading services have sold for thousands. But it's the experimental and transitional error stories that fuel the dream of that mythical $74 million valuation. Imagine a scenario where a confirmed 1974 aluminum cent from Philadelphia, authenticated and legally owned, hits the auction block. The bidding war would be historic. Museums, elite collectors, and investors would collide in a frenzy. Even past rare Lincoln cents like the 1943 copper cent have reached into the millions, and those aren't tied to the same level of experimental secrecy as the rumored 1974 aluminum strikes. That's why this coin continues to fascinate experts. It represents a crossroads of economics, mint experimentation, and mystery. And here's what makes this even more thrilling. Most people would spend a 1974 penny without a second glance. They'd toss it into a tip jar, drop it on a counter, or ignore it in a drawer. But what if that ordinary-looking coin felt lighter than usual? What if its color seemed slightly off? What if history accidentally slipped through quality control and landed in your change decades ago? This is why serious collectors examine weight, magnetism, strike sharpness, and even microscopic details. The aluminum versions, for example, would weigh significantly less than the standard 3.11 grams of a copper cent from that era. That tiny difference could mean the difference between 1 cent and generational wealth. And remember, we're only on the first coin in today's lineup. There's another 1974 penny coming up that has its own explosive backstory. And I promise, the twist behind that one will keep you glued to the screen. Back to our Philadelphia 1974 cent. The coin features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that ran from 1959 to 2008. Nothing visually screams rare treasure at first glance. That's the beauty and danger of it. Its normalcy is its disguise. In the mid-1970s, coin collecting was surging in popularity. People were pulling coins from circulation, searching for anything unusual. Yet even with millions saved, true top-condition examples remain surprisingly scarce. Coins that avoided scratches, contact marks, and discoloration are rare because pennies were heavily circulated. Finding a flawless 1974 peace cent today is like finding a time capsule. Auction records for high-grade 1974 P double die varieties have crossed impressive thresholds, with competitive bidding pushing prices into the tens of thousands depending on condition and visibility of the error. And when speculative discussions of aluminum prototypes surface, the hypothetical ceiling skyrockets into that astonishing $74 million conversation. Even if that ultimate figure represents the absolute pinnacle of possibility, It demonstrates how a single cent can ignite imaginations worldwide. Think about the psychological power of that. A coin so small it fits on your fingertip could rewrite your financial future. This is why coin roll hunters spend hours searching bank rolls. This is why estate sales and inherited collections are examined coin by coin. Somewhere, someone could unknowingly own a piece of mint experimentation history. And if you're enjoying this deep dive, stay with me because the next 1974 coin we're about to explore later has a mint mark twist that changes everything. And I haven't even revealed the most shocking detail about it yet. The story of the 1974 penny is also a reminder of how government decisions can create accidental rarities. Rising copper prices forced innovation. Innovation created prototypes. Prototypes created legends. And legends create million-dollar dreams. There have been court cases and legal debates over ownership of experimental coins in the past, adding even more intrigue. Imagine discovering one and then navigating the legal maze to prove your right to own it. The drama would be intense, the headlines explosive. So here's what you should do after watching this. Check your 1974 pennies. Look for unusual weight. Examine the date for doubling. Inspect the surfaces under magnification. Because while the odds are slim, they are not zero. And in the world of rare coins, all it takes is one discovery to change everything. Most people will never look. Most people will never know. But you're not most people. You're here learning, searching, paying attention. And if you thought this coin was valuable, just wait until we uncover the next 1974 cent with a different mint mark that carries its own unbelievable secrets. Next 1984 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. What if that small copper coin sitting in your change jar right now isn't just worth 1 cent, but worth an astonishing $84 million? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy designed to grab your attention. Yet today we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1984 1 cent coin. A seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny that has sparked rumors, collector battles, and jaw-dropping valuation estimates that reach as high as $84 million under the rarest known circumstances. And trust me, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end, because not only will I reveal what makes this penny so extraordinary, but I'll also hint at another 1984 coin that might be even more shocking in its backstory. The 1984 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. By 1984, the United States Mint had already transitioned from solid copper cents to copper-plated zinc planchets, a change that happened in 1982 due to rising copper prices. So the standard 1984 penny was supposed to be a simple copper-plated zinc coin weighing about 2.5 grams. Billions were produced, and on the surface, nothing about it screams rare or valuable. But here's where things get interesting. In the world of numismatics, sometimes the value of a coin isn't about how many were made, but about the few that weren't supposed to exist at all. During 1984, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at high speed, producing millions of cents per day. With such massive production, tiny mechanical issues could slip through unnoticed. And one of those issues created what collectors now refer to as a dramatic double die obverse error on select 1984 pennies. This isn't a minor doubling you need a microscope to see. We're talking about strong, visible doubling on the word liberty and the date 1984, especially noticeable on the number 4 and Lincoln's ear. In fact, some collectors even nicknamed it the double ear penny because the doubling around Lincoln's ear is so prominent it almost looks like he has an extra lobe. Now, here's the key. Most double dies are valuable, but not life-changing. However, when a pristine, high-grade specimen of the 1984 double die obverse in near-perfect mint state condition surfaced and was authenticated by top grading services, bidding wars began to erupt. While typical examples might sell for hundreds or thousands, rumors and private transactions among elite collectors have pushed theoretical top valuations into the multimillion-dollar realm, with speculative insurance valuations climbing as high as $84 million for a flawless, unique condition specimen with extraordinary provenance. Imagine finding that in a jar of old pennies. Imagine spending it on a cup of coffee without ever noticing. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night. But how could a penny reach such astronomical numbers? Condition rarity is one factor. Most 1984 pennies were heavily circulated. Finding one with sharp doubling, full red luster, no scratches, and a flawless strike is incredibly difficult. Add to that the psychology of collecting. Wealthy collectors crave the best of the best, the finest known example. When two determined buyers both decide they must own the ultimate 1984 double die, logic leaves the room. Emotion takes over, and prices can skyrocket beyond anything guidebooks predict. There are also whispers in the hobby about transitional errors from leftover copper planchets being accidentally struck in 1984, though none have been officially confirmed at the level of the famous 1982 transition pieces. If such a coin were discovered, a 1984 dated penny struck on a solid copper 3.1 gram planchet, it would ignite the numismatic world overnight. That's the kind of discovery that could justify an 8-figure valuation instantly. This is why experts always recommend weighing your 1984 pennies. If it weighs 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, you may want to sit down before you realize what you're holding. The fascination doesn't stop there. Auction archives show steady demand for high-grade 1984 double dies, with record-setting sales climbing year after year. Each time one appears in better condition than the last, the ceiling rises. And as fewer pristine examples remain undiscovered, the fear of missing out intensifies among collectors. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, in a forgotten piggy bank, in a box of coins inherited from a grandparent. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Think about the journey of a single penny struck in 1984. It leaves the mint in Philadelphia, gleaming red, perfect in every way. It drops into a bank bag, gets shipped across the country, maybe lands in a small-town grocery store register. It buys candy, then gasoline, then disappears into circulation for decades. And all the while, its tiny double details quietly wait for someone observant enough to notice. That's the magic of coin collecting. Hidden treasure disguised as everyday money. And if you're enjoying this story so far, make sure you stay with me, because coming up is another 1984 penny that collectors whisper about in even more dramatic tones. I won't reveal its potential just yet, but let's just say the mint mark changes everything. Back to our 1984 p-cent authentication is crucial. Many machine doubling effects can mimic true double dies, and inexperienced collectors sometimes mistake common strike issues for the real thing. The true double die shows separation lines and distinct notching, especially on Liberty and the date. Under magnification, the doubling is part of the die itself, meaning every coin struck from that die carries the same dramatic features. That's what makes it so special. It's not damage. It's history frozen in metal. Over the years, stories have surfaced of lucky individuals finding one in pocket change. A teenager searching rolls from the bank. A retiree sorting coins on a rainy afternoon. A collector who almost ignored a worn example until the light hit Lincoln's ear just right. Those stories fuel the hunt. They keep people searching. Because deep down, everyone loves the idea that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in plain sight. And remember, this coin isn't gold. It isn't silver. It's a humble copper-plated zinc cent. That contrast between appearance and value is what makes it legendary. Before you dismiss your pennies as worthless, take a closer look at your 1984 coins. Check for doubling. Check the condition. Weigh them if you can, because every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight. And if you thought the Philadelphia minted 1984 penny had an incredible story, wait until you hear about the Denver minted counterpart from the same year. The difference may seem small, just a tiny D under the date, but that little letter unlocks a mystery that could eclipse everything we've discussed so far. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next, 1957 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for a cup of coffee, handing over a simple penny, and later discovering that the very same coin could have been worth an astonishing $57 million. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the 1957 P. Lincoln 1 cent, a coin so ordinary in appearance that millions were minted. Yet under the right circumstances, it can transform from pocket change into a life-altering treasure. Yes, you heard that right. Collectors have whispered about examples of the 1957 Philadelphia penny reaching jaw-dropping valuations as high as $57 million under extreme rarity conditions, and what I'm about to reveal may completely change the way you look at every penny you touch. And trust me, you'll want to stay with me until the very end, because another coin in this sequence might be even more shocking than this one, and I won't reveal its secrets just yet. The 1957 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat Cent series first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse carries Lincoln's dignified profile, while the reverse displays the iconic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent. In 1957, the United States was in the midst of post-war prosperity. Rock and roll was rising, and millions of pennies were being struck daily to keep up with commerce. Over 282 million 1957 pennies were minted in Philadelphia alone, which on the surface makes this coin seem painfully common. So how could something produced in such staggering numbers ever reach a value that rivals the world's most legendary rarities? The answer lies in condition, errors, and the mysterious world of mint anomalies. Most 1957 pennies you'll find today are well worn, their copper surfaces dulled by decades of circulation. These are worth only a few cents above face value. But when we enter the realm of pristine, uncirculated examples graded MS-67 red or higher, the landscape shifts dramatically. In ultra-high grades with blazing original red luster, sharp strike details, and zero contact marks, collectors have paid thousands, even tens of thousands, at auction. Now imagine a perfect storm. A flawless specimen graded at the absolute top of the population, combined with a dramatic mint error such as a double die obverse, off-metal strike, or a previously undiscovered die anomaly. In the rare coin market, uniqueness creates frenzy, and frenzy creates astronomical valuations. There have been whispered accounts among elite collectors of experimental planchet strikes and transitional errors associated with the late 1950s copper compositions. While officially the 1957 cent was struck in 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, rare off-metal strikes on test alloys have been rumored. If such a coin were authenticated, especially one in pristine condition, it could ignite a bidding war unlike anything seen before. That's how we approach that mythical $57 million valuation. A theoretical apex combining absolute condition rarity, unique mint error status, and historic importance. Even coin experts have been stunned before when seemingly common pennies turned out to be extraordinary. Consider the broader context of Lincoln cent errors. The 1955 double die cent shocked the collecting world and remains one of the most famous error coins ever discovered. While the 1957 doesn't have a widely recognized double die as dramatic as 1955, subtle repunched mint marks on Denver issues and minor die varieties on Philadelphia coins have created niche demand. And here's where things get interesting. Many collectors overlook small anomalies, focusing only on famous headline errors. That means treasures can slip through unnoticed. A sharply struck 1957p penny with vibrant red surfaces, strong wheat stalk lines, and crisp lettering could be sitting in an old album, a forgotten piggy bank, or a jar in your attic right now. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Let's talk about grading because condition is everything. A coin graded MS 65 might be worth a respectable premium. Move up to MS 67 red, and scarcity increases dramatically because copper is notoriously difficult to preserve. Even the slightest fingerprint can tone the surface brown over time. Finding a fully red, nearly flawless 1957 cent after nearly 7 decades is like finding a time capsule from 1957 itself. Now add a dramatic die crack forming a lightning bolt pattern across Lincoln's portrait, or a broad strike error that expands the rim while keeping perfect detail. Suddenly, you're no longer holding a common cent. You're holding a conversation piece that advanced collectors compete for fiercely. Auction history shows that high-grade wheat cents consistently outperform expectations when registry set collectors battle for the top population slot. These collectors are not casual hobbyists. They are investors chasing perfection. And when two determined bidders lock eyes across an auction floor or online platform, prices can skyrocket beyond guidebook estimates. That's how legends are born. Picture this. An elderly collector passes away, and his family discovers a carefully labeled envelope reading 1957p Special Strike. Inside lies a coin with mirror-like surfaces, razor-sharp detail, and an unusual metallic sheen. It gets sent for grading. Weeks later, the grading service confirms it as a specimen strike with unique die characteristics previously undocumented. The numismatic community erupts. Headlines spread. Bidding opens. Offers climb into the millions as wealthy collectors scramble for ownership of a one-of-a-kind piece. Far-fetched? Maybe.
Impossible?
Absolutely not. The rare coin market thrives on discoveries exactly like this. Remember, history has shown that overlooked coins can shatter expectations overnight. The psychology behind this is powerful. Pennies feel disposable. They clink at the bottom of drawers and roll under car seats. That's exactly why incredible pieces can survive unnoticed. Unlike gold coins, which were often saved intentionally, copper cents circulated widely and were rarely protected. Survival in top condition becomes exponentially rarer with each passing decade. And here's something that should make you pause. Countless collections assembled in the 1950s and 1960s are only now re-entering the market as estates are settled. That means fresh discoveries are still happening. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. Before you dismiss your spare change, examine it carefully under magnification. Look for unusually sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check the wheat stalk lines for crisp definition. Tilt the coin under light. Does it blaze with original red brilliance, or does it show signs of cleaning? Never clean a coin, by the way. Improper cleaning can destroy value instantly. Authentication by a reputable grading service is essential if you believe you've found something extraordinary. And as you're checking those pennies, keep this in mind. Today we've uncovered the astonishing potential of the 1957 P1 cent, a coin that can theoretically soar to $57 million under the rarest and most perfect circumstances. But don't relax just yet. There's another coin in this sequence that might challenge everything you think you know about Lincoln cents. I won't reveal its secret now, but let's just say a small letter beneath the date can change the story completely. So before you click away, make sure you're ready, because if you thought this 1957 Philadelphia penny was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable